Top 10 Best Sport Bikes in the World. If speed and ultimate chassis dynamics are your thing, then these are the bikes you need to be looking at. Motorcyclists have always loved chasing speed, and the manufacturers have done their best to deliver. In decades gone by, it was enough to simply put a larger and more powerful engine in an existing chassis that might also be used for more mundane models. 10. Triumph Daytona Moto2 765. Making use of that talented 765 cubic centimeters Triumph Street Triple engine, Triumph brings back the Daytona and gives it a limited edition appeal with the Aero titanium race exhaust that helps it make 128 horsepower. Apart from it, it gets new full carbon fiber bodywork, official Moto2 branding, Union Jack paint scheme, billet machined aluminum top yoke with the laser-etched number, single seat, TFT dash, and gets over 35 genuine Triumph Daytona accessories to choose from. 9. MV Agusta Supervelis 800. After year-long speculation, the House of MV unleashed their uber-cool superbike, the Supervelis 800. It is based on the F3 800 but gets new ergonomics, retro fast styling, and a different powertrain characteristic. The inline 3-cylinder makes 148 horses, while the Series Aero gets 153 horses, courtesy a bespoke Aero exhaust system. Both machines get clip-ons, retro fairings made from carbon fiber for the Series Aero rather than plastic on the regular, LED lighting, and wire wheels for the Series Aero. The ALS steel trellis gets combined with an aluminum swing arm, Marzocchi USD forks, Sachs shock, and 4-piston Brembo monoblock with Bosch ABS. 8. KTM RC8. In 2021, KTM announced a limited edition sports bike, the RC8C. An initial 100 bike production run sold out in mere minutes when it went on sale on KTM's website, despite a near $40,000 price tag. In 2022, KTM announced a further 200 examples of the RC8C would be built, and this sold out even quicker. The only problem is, while the RC8C is as near to a race replica sports motorcycle as you dare wish for, full of race technology and built from exotic materials, it is a track-only bike, not road legal, and also extremely expensive. Meaning that the likelihood of any of the owners actually riding it in anger is rather slim. 7. Aprilia RSV4 Factory 1100. The Italian underdog. Aprilia has always played second fiddle to Ducati in the public's perception, but that doesn't mean that the RSV4 isn't just as brilliant as the Panigale V4. If anything, the RSV4 is a thinly disguised MotoGP bike, with even more power than the Ducati Panigale V4 214 horsepower and chassis features lifted straight from the RSGP MotoGP bike. It also seems to have been built with taller riders in mind, as the riding position is surprisingly roomy. The chassis dynamics are otherworldly, providing epic handling, mountains of grip and braking power, all wrapped up in a compliant, even plush, ride. 6. Ducati Panigale V4S. A proper engineering tour de force and a thing of explosive performance. The Panigale V4 really is excess all areas in the motorcycling arena. For the first time, it was a case of life imitating sport, as while Ducati road bikes were always V-twins, the MotoGP bikes have been V4S since the early 2000s. The 1,103 cubic centimeters Panigale V4 engine develops 210 horsepower, which should be just about enough. The counter-rotating crankshaft, extreme electronics and aero wiglets on the front of the fairing all-combat front will lift when accelerating out of corners, but this is still a bike for the expert rider. 5. BMW S1000RR. Well, no one saw this one coming. After decades of building excellent but rather staid and expensive touring bikes and admittedly brilliant adventure bikes, BMW turned its reputation on its head and launched the S1000RR sport bike. What's even more incredible is that it was brilliant right out of the box, no growing pains, no questionable design directions, just an incredible engine in a class-leading chassis, and technology not seen on motorcycles up to that point. The engine produced 199 horsepower, which translated to 179.2 horsepower at the rear wheel, making it the most powerful bike in its class. It also featured ABS and dynamic traction control, a first for the class. 4. Suzuki GSX1000. Of all the current breed of Japanese leader sport bikes, the Suzuki GSX1000 is the one that has changed the least since its introduction in 2001. That's not to say that it hasn't been updated, but the current generation has the least amount of electronic sophistication of all the Japanese sport bikes. It is also the sport bike that requires the greatest level of skill out of all the leader sport bikes to get the best out of it, and has a reputation for being tricky on the limit. 3. Yamaha YZFR1. The YZFR1 arrived in 1998 and immediately made an impact. The engine and transmission structure was made as possible by stacking the transmission shafts on top of each other behind the cylinder block. Doing this enabled Yamaha's engineers to fit a longer swing arm, which aided stability, while still keeping the wheelbase as short as possible and also allowing the engine to be placed in the frame for optimized weight distribution. Over the years, as with all long-running sports bikes, the R1's chassis and engine have been developed over the years in a series of 7 different generations. Power output has risen from 150 horsepower to 199 horsepower, while weight has remained pretty static, 437 pounds up to 439 pounds. 2. Kawasaki ZX10R. The biggest showcase for sport bikes is the World Superbike Championship, and in recent years, the title has been the preserve of one man on one bike, Jonathan Rea on the ZX10R, winning the title 6 years running from 2015 to 2020. The level of ability of the ZX10R is astonishing, but it is a supremely uncompromising sport bike, which means an extreme riding position, and it requires a high level of skill to get the best out of it. 1. Honda CBR1000RR Fireblade. In 2020, the Blade received its latest makeover in both the chassis and engine departments to counter criticism that it was being left behind by the competition. The criticism was all completely pointless, of course, as very few riders would ever be able to access 100% of the power, so having even more would be a waste, but if the public thinks it needs over 200 horsepower, then anything less will just not do. Honda claims 214 horsepower, although real-world tests recorded a figure of around 190. However, the latest Fireblade is still one of the finest handling sports bikes money can buy, and what's more, it possesses completely accessible performance and handling that will flatter any rider.
I hope to inspire you and help you learn more about your favorite theme. Subscribe to my channel and let me know what you think.